And welcome to a new episode of the Rebel Radio podcast. And we are, no, that was last week. We've been back since the hurricane. That's right. For some reason, man, the last couple weeks have been a blur.
It still looks like a hurricane in some areas, though.
Sometimes, yeah. There's a giant damn tree right down the street that they haven't taken down yet, and I'm like, that's wild. Nobody's bothered to cut it down.
I know what you're talking about. It's close to the road too. I'm like,
I
think I'm going to hit it all the time.
But man, we have a Long. You with us today? I mean, man, a couple appearances this month, 10th anniversary, and now today, we are honored to be graced with your presence, Sir Long, Brother Long, I should say.
It's Tran X today.
Tran X,
yeah,
like Weapon X. You know,
he's like,
my last name Tran.
He came back for Ryan Reynolds, but
I thought it was like, I read it as Tranny X at first, but whatever. Whatever he does.
Wow. Whoa.
Alongside on camera, but I'm guarantee I'm getting a long look right now. I know I am. I can feel it. And that's what I strive for, is that long look. I mean,
if something mysterious happens to you, I'll know what happened.
Oh, I know. He stares through my soul with that look he has. But
yes.
I'm gonna have it any other way. But man, so we're going to get into this today because we're going to spare some sub features today and stuff because we turned this into a double feature. We advertised that we were discussing the original Deadpool this week, and then but a little movie hit theaters this weekend on its way to approximately $205 million at the box office. One of the biggest, I think it might be the biggest rated R movie opening of all time, and that is a Deadpool and Wolverine, of course, hit theaters this weekend. So there's a lot to talk about, but I don't want to jump right into Deadpool first because San Diego Comic-Con is going on as we speak. What's ending today? What do you guys think about this big news that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to play Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday in 2026?
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's going to be kind of a monkey's paw situation, like where fans are, RDJ's coming back, and like people are like so dumb already. It's like, it's a desperation move because, I'm not saying. I'm just reading what reactions are like.
Yeah.
It's like, look, the immediate reaction is that's cool, but it's like this looks like a desperation move from Disney with all the flops they've had recently, and it's not all of this. I mean,
right? It's
not all bad. Although I have stopped going to, I used to watch every Marvel movie that came out since Iron Man, and I haven't really missed any Marvel movies except starting with the Eternals is what I skipped out on and had no desire to see that. And but anyways,
no, I mean that's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see that take of it on it.
Yeah, the monkey's paw thing I was referring to is like, he'll be back, but he's just going to wear that Doom mask the whole time, and you're not going to see his face. That sort of thing. It's like, he's back, but he's not going to be freaking evil Tony Stark. Like everyone's saying that, he's going to be evil Tony Stark. No, he's going to be Victor Von Doom. So let him play that character.
It's a different character.
Yeah, totally different character.
And that's kind of how I viewed it as, he's can play a different character in the universe. There's nothing wrong with this. He's not Tony Stark. He's a different character. And at the moment, it's hard to look at him as anyone but Tony Stark. But I think once the film hits and our trust in the Russo brothers and their abilities of what they do, that we will realize it's a completely different character. That's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
I can see how media could view it as a desperation move. But is there going to be a desperation move in 2 years from now when they announce that Jeremy Renner or Chris Evans are coming back? Because I fully believe that's a possibility. Evans has said as much. If the script is right, he feels right, he'll come back. I mean, maybe it's just great storytelling and people forget that, because, I mean, Steve Rogers comes back in the comics,
all the time.
So
he's come back like 5 times.
5 or 6 years ago.
I'm excited.
5 or 6 years ago, there was the Secret Wars event that came out in the comic books, and there was actually a bunch of multi-universes that were going on. Like one of them was Steve Rogers was on Planet Hulk, and he had Devil Dinosaur as his partner, which is the red T-Rex. So it was So Steve Rogers and Devil Dinosaur trying to survive on Planet Hulk, which is one of the coolest stories, in the Secret Wars retelling. And then, but anyhow, I'm just going off track a little bit. I don't know which version of Secret Wars they're going to do. Yeah, but yeah, and they changed Kang Dynasty is no longer on the board, so replaced by Doomsday. Yeah, so which is fine.
Yours made me think I was always a little upset that we didn't get a Planet Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm. Really, Doctor Doom is such an important figure in the last retelling of Secret Wars because he was the one who created the multiple dimensions in Secret Wars, modern Secret Wars. So maybe they're going for that, or they're going for. They're either going for the original Secret Wars in the early '80s, which had all the heroes on the planet.
Cool, I think.
Yeah. Or they're doing the Secret Wars that's like multi-dimensional, or maybe a hybrid of the original and the modern retelling. So who knows?
I like the original Secret Wars comic. That's a fun read.
Yeah.
Or being a kid and checking that out and seeing all your heroes in one book. It was one of the first major crossovers I remember as a child. So I always thought it was cool. And I think that'd be a lot of fun to do. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the Russo brothers to come back. I think it's interesting that they really only talked about Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts that we knew and then gave us the new titles for Avengers. It seems like they're saving stuff for D23. Kevin Feige has hinted at the fact that maybe he's not done, even after the movie we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And there's a lot of rumors of a possible Deadpool and Hulk movie being made, or Deadpool, Wolverine, Hulk movie. So we'll see what they announce, but looks like they're saving it for their big event next month, which makes sense. You don't want to show too much San Diego. You want to draw people to your own personal event at D23. So we'll see what happens, but we'll get more on the future of the MCU in just a little bit, especially after the movie we're going to talk about today. But that's the biggest takeaway from the news I've gotten at Comic-Con this weekend. Did DC do anything, or maybe they're doing something today? I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe today.
Well, I think they're doing that DC fandom again that they skipped last year. Maybe that's when they're going to announce all their stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know James Gunn was there because he showed pictures of himself at Comic-Con. He took a day off of filming to go, but I'm not sure if DC had an event or not.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's pretty cool that Downey Jr. is going to come back, and we'll see where it goes. That's the biggest news of the weekend. But I think, we normally talk about what we watch, but we all watched the big movie this week. It's really all I watched anyway. But let's get into today's double feature then.
Before we get into that, I just want to say that they've announced some Star Trek things. And then I just want to say that they showed the trailer to Star Trek Section 9. And it is hot garbage. I hate it a lot, and it's fucking stupid, And you Star Wars fans are complaining about their direction of the franchise. Well, fucking Star Trek is like the epitome of mediocrity. It has more misses than hits. The only good thing that came out of it is 2 animated shows, Lower Decks and maybe Strange New Worlds. And,
I was going to say, I like Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds is it's fine, but it's trying too hard to be like fucking Marvel with all the yay, whoopee, we're flying, and all that BS.
I haven't watched all of it, but I've seen
oh my gosh,
most of the first season. But
if I ever saw the original series doing that, all the other Treks, TNG, whatever, showing Data flying the shuttlecraft and saying we're flying, I was like, I'm just gonna oh my gosh, or freaking
not for Star Trek.
It's like the state of writing today is so bad, and I'm like, anyways, I'm just so mad right now, because
I don't blame you.
It's so fucking weird. Star Wars is trying so hard to be like what Star Trek was, and now Star Trek is trying so hard to be like what Star Wars is. It's like 2 franchises are moving in 2 different directions.
Just be yourself, baby. That's what the Great Long is trying to say. stay true to
No,
you.
it's no that they just need better writers and a freaking
Yeah.
script supervisor like Michael Piller who says, okay, why are the characters doing this? There's got to be a reason. But anyways,
Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars, there were almost no announcements from them, mostly just Hasbro action figure stuff.
yeah,
And,
Andor is the only thing on the horizon that I'm looking forward to from Star
yeah,
Wars.
and I'm wondering if season 2 is it coming this year? Because they sure announced a lot of new Andor toys.
I think it's
wonder if
early
it's
next
coming,
year.
maybe early enough next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Skeleton Crew is supposed to be out later this year. I'm thinking we'll get a trailer at D23 because that damn thing seemed like it filmed forever ago. Then the strike happened and COVID, or maybe that was after COVID. But it feels like the Skeleton Crew's been. I know Jude Law mentioned he filmed that thing a couple years back, so he's been done with it. So,
Acolyte was pure trash. I just want to say that I didn't get to catch last week's episode, but Mark, if you're not caught up with it, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm saving you your time. Just watch the clips
watched the last
or
two.
whatever. But I can attest that if I were to score the Acolyte, it's going to be D+ or C- at best. It is bad, but not Secret Invasion bad, where I quit in the middle of the episode. So
you know what I felt. The guy at work made a good point about the Acolyte, and I never thought about it like this, and he's kind of right. It feels like a 1990s Star Wars TV show, like they would have written something like this back then, where they didn't care as much about the deeper lore and just threw it out there. I was like, you know what? Yeah, this could fit like in the 1990s. It's just sort of thrown together, and it's just putting a product out there to sell the product at this point.
Ewok Adventure had better writing than Acolyte.
Now, don't say the holiday special because then that.
Yeah.
At least we saw Chewbacca's family.
Yeah.
I like the Ewok movies.
Yeah.
They're kind of silly fun.
Yeah. Acolyte was so stupid. I can just. Anyways, we don't have time for that. So let's move on.
On to better things.
But let's talk.
We'll have to do the worst of franchises episode someday.
We normally do our feature film at the end, but we're going to do things backwards. And we talk about movies we went to the theater to see or online and watch. And in this case, we all went to the theater and saw a movie, but we're going to do it backwards because it makes sense continuity wise to do it that way. So we're going to discuss Deadpool Wolverine here in just a bit, which is the big movie that hit theaters this weekend. But we're going to go back and talk the first film in this trilogy of films that was not a part of the MCU at the time, which is now strangely retconned into the MCU, which we'll talk about how that happened later on in a very cool way, I thought. And that is the original Deadpool, a film that almost never got made. Fox wasn't buying into this. Ryan Reynolds and I believe it was some friends of his did some test footage, and they sold it around. And I remember hitting the internet on YouTube and convinced Fox that Deadpool was a popular character. Fox did not buy into it. Fox was ignoring comic book sales. They were ignoring the popularity of Deadpool toys and things like that. And they're like, no way, no one's going to watch this movie. And Ryan Reynolds somehow convinced Fox, like, no, people will watch this movie. And Fox said, okay, we'll make.
They leaked the footage. That's the only reason why Fox executives were like, okay,
that was a big.
People do like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, you can have it, but cut the budget.
Yeah, they gave it a pretty shoestring budget for comic movies. Still pretty expensive. It was about $100 million movie or so.
58 mil. It was going to be closer.
Was that low?
Yeah.
Damn.
58 mil. It was going to be higher. But
I thought a YouTube fan film spurred it, not a.
Well, yeah.
No,
it was a Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. It was the leaked footage. And they don't know who leaked it to this day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could be Ryan Reynolds.
Could have been Ryan Reynolds himself. I believe it.
So they got it made for that's pretty wild, $60 million considering you have Colossus in there in full CGI. And I know I read somewhere they bought the cruise or the tanker at the end. They bought really cheap because it was being decommissioned, destroyed anyways. Oh. So they bought it so they could destroy it. But man, so this is a movie that almost never got made, but somehow found its way. And you get an actor who is cast as originally was Deadpool in the Wolverine Origins movie, and a very piss poor I don't know, thrift store version of Deadpool in that
Yeah.
film. But the crazy thing is that no one knocked Ryan Reynolds for being Deadpool in that movie. Everyone liked him as a character, and that's kind of how it came about, as he was continuing to push and push and push to get this character made. And so it does get made, and it was a pretty big success for Fox at the time. I almost said MCU, and they were like, "Wow, people do like this." It is a very you can tell where they cut the budget by dragging out the origin story. That's probably my biggest beef with this movie. It's a 45 minutes of the origin, which is just kind of drags the film down, and it causes weird pacing issues and let's put the camera on Ryan's face a whole lot and let him make as many jokes as possible in the first hour, to the point where he's kind of annoying. And I get that that's the point of Deadpool as a character. He's supposed to be annoying, and I think he works in the comic books a little better for that thing. In the movie, I feel like, oh my God, shut up at some time. It's almost too much. And but when we get to Deadpool and Wolverine, there's a complete difference. And it's because he has someone to play off with. And I think that's my biggest problem in Deadpool. He's making all these jokes and things, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus don't play off of him extremely well. They're kind of a little bit drier, if that makes sense. And their humor is kind of like, eh. So it gets to the point where you want Deadpool to get slapped. But the flip side of that, there's a lot of really cool action in this movie. It's really, I like the flashbacks, the back and forth, them telling the story. I like the way the story is told. It's cool to see the character come alive on the screen for some character we never thought would come to the big screen. So there's a lot of moments I do like in it too. I just find the character, the first time you see him on screen, a little bit annoying throughout this film. I think the jokes don't land. They don't hold up extremely well to me, the jokes, watching it again.
Stan Lee
was funny.
Yeah.
I just want to apologize ahead of time, because I thought we would have more time to watch Deadpool, or you guys are going to record like in the second half of this week. So I didn't get a chance to rewatch Deadpool because yesterday I came home from running errands, and I was like, oh, cool. I'm kind of in the high from watching Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm just going to check out some movies I haven't watched since, the X-Men Apocalypse or whatever. And then I checked out Wolverine, the one where he goes to Japan,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hated it, bored. James Mangold definitely does not how to fucking film action at all, because I don't know it's the pacing or the editing or what, but Logan was cool and all, but I just got nothing out of that film. Compared to Logan or I don't know. It was all right.
No, that's fair. I mean, I like the Wolverine for certain things that are in it, but yeah, compared to Logan, it's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, and compared to, he's had better appearances too. Like even in the X-Men movies, Logan had a better showing. So I don't know. I should have watched Deadpool, but so I'm going off of like 8 years of because I only seen the movie once, and the biggest thing I remember is Colossus was done right.
Yeah, he was.
Gina Carano's boob popped out.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well, they don't show it.
Yeah,
because Colossus got in the way. Boy Scout.
Yeah, and but yeah, I'll keep talking, and I'll jog my memory.
And Marina Baccarin, or however you say her name, looking hot as always.
Oh, always. Yeah, dude. And she, even today, she still got it.
We know Matt's favorite scene in Deadpool. Matt's favorite scene in Deadpool is the holiday scene in the International Women's Day.
You know it, man. You know it.
We know what Jackie does to you behind the scenes. It's okay.
I had almost forgotten about that scene. And then I'm just like, I was watching it and I was like, man. I was like, yeah, the kids were like in the next room. So I had to like fast forward. I thought the same
thing. Michael had asked me if you could watch the Deadpool movies. I was like, well, yeah, that's fine. Just watch them without your brother around. I didn't think nothing of it. Then I'm rewatching. I'm like, man, I let Michael watch this. I know he's getting older and he knows better, but still, as a dad, you're like, oh, shit.
Oh,
man.
good. Yeah.
Where's his innocence going?
Taught Michael what pegging is.
Uh-huh.
So, good one. Good one, Dad.
I
know,
like
right?
I like the comedy, like you, Mark, and I like how they kind of incorporated the budget issues that they faced. I wouldn't say issues, but I guess the budget limit.
Limit, yeah.
Yeah, because they ended up ditching his weapons and having him use his swords at the end as part of the budget cut. And of course, the limited amount of X-Men, they made that into a joke. With him breaking the fourth wall, it's almost like they couldn't afford another X-Men.
That was fine.
Yeah,
that was fine.
So it definitely did a good job of, incorporating that.
So can someone do a brief summary of Deadpool 1 real quick to jog my memory?
Yeah. So it starts out with the highway scene, him listening to Salt and Pepper.
I remember that part.
And, got an epic action scene, and it goes, oh, how did we get here? It shows that he's, a hitman of sorts, but he's helping out, the young girl get back at the boyfriend. And
the summary, Matt, not
shows
the whole plot.
A summary.
Yeah. He meets Monica. They fall in love. Finds out he has cancer.
Matt, if you were to write a summary on the back of a DVD box,
yeah,
do it that way, please.
He finds out he has cancer. Basically, told it's a superhero camp, but really they just torture him. He gains the superpower of human regeneration, and Ajax, basically tortured him this whole time. He spends his time hunting down Ajax for scarring him. And eventually Ajax finds out who he is, holds his beloved hostage, and there's a big fight at the end, which he teams up with Colossus and Megasonic Teenage Warhead in order to fight him and Gina Carano.
Okay, yeah, that helps quite a bit, actually. Now that I remember who the villain... The villain is so forgettable because I don't remember Ajax.
Yeah, they combined 3 villains into one. Ajax wasn't necessarily a true comic book villain. They just kind of took 3 Deadpool villains and
it doesn't help that Ed Skrein has absolutely no personality or things to remember him by either. They keep
can't stand Ed
casting this guy. Mm-hmm. They keep casting this guy in films, and he's bad. Stop casting him. Like Zack Snyder has him in Rebel Moon. And he's the worst part of the Rebel Moon movies is putting him in it. It's like, stop putting this dude in
the
movies.
worst part of Midway. That I know Roland Emmerich's not a great director.
Oh, the remake? Yeah.
No, the historical movie.
Yeah.
Of the but yeah, Ed Skrein plays a bomber pilot and that, and his Brooklyn accent's so bad. It's so bad. He sounds like an Australian trying to do a New Yorker accent, which he does.
We can't all be Matt Damon.
No, we can't be like freaking Hugh Jackman, who does a fantastic job of hiding his accent.
Dude, he was good. Leo's good at accents, but Ed Skrein's not.
Ed Skrein's terrible. He's just a pretty face. That's it.
And then there's the GOAT, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. And he was barely tolerable in freaking Alita.
Yeah.
Angel. Yeah.
I was happy when he died.
Yeah, same. He does have a punchable face, does he? So yeah, I think they probably went with Ajax because they did. So Fox didn't have to pay the rights for. They kept the budget down or something.
Yeah. That was definitely part of it. But yeah, it's amazing how we even got the film, and it did awesome. I mean, just in U.S. and Canada, it did just under 400 million. And worldwide, it was about 750 mil. So off of almost $60 million budget, it had a crap ton of success. So Fox, waiting this long to do a film, I could have done this a couple years earlier. But at least we got this, and instead of the Weapon 11, I guess, is what he was in X-Men Origins, where they sewed his mouth shut. Literally sewed the mouth of the Merc with the mouth, and took away the most iconic thing about him. Very, very weird. But yeah, it's, we got this film, and I think, the way they explain his origin, it's not in line with the comic book. But, in the fourth wall break at the beginning, he talks about, being made from Wolverine. So I guess the layman, people who don't know Deadpool's origins, can get some kind of explanation as to his true origins. But yeah, no, I think it was a success. I like this film and the second film, and yeah, man, I can't wait to talk about Deadpool Wolverine. I know that much. That's what we really want to get to.
I like parts of the original Deadpool and parts of the second Deadpool, but I don't like all of them. I think the origin part's a little draggy.
Yeah.
It was like every origin part's pretty draggy. To be fair, though, I wasn't really quite familiar with Deadpool's origin, so it helped that I was not familiar with it. Yeah, because everyone knows Superman's and Batman's and Spider-Man's origins,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that's how he came to be, and that's how the name came to be, So I thought that was entertaining, and then. Compared to Deadpool 2, the first Deadpool left a better impression on me, and I thought Deadpool 2's final act dragged a little bit for me,
Oh, with the time skip and stuff?
Not the time skip, but the part where Deadpool thought he was dying, and then it was like, okay, dude, you're running that gag of you dying, but not dying a little too long,
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that joke rang hollow to me once you know how that kind of. It's like, oh, thank you all. I'm dead. But wait.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I need to say.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm dead. And another thing.
Yeah.
Before I got, it's like, okay, that's cool, but you're fucking just. That joke was lame because it's a predictable joke, So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That part really dragged me. But I do like Cable. He's cool.
Cable was kind of cool. The annoying fat kid from Hunt for the Wildebeest was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think I like the first one better than the second one. I like the ideas in the second one. It was cool that they had Cable and stuff in it, but it just didn't.
Juggernaut. Yeah.
Yeah, it had, and there was a lot of rehash in the second one too. A lot of kind of same old.
Mm-hmm.
But Deadpool's an interesting character, but I do think Deadpool plays better when he has people to play off of, which is why the new film I think works so much better.
Yes.
Not that he didn't have people to play off of in Deadpool 1 and 2. He had Colossus and Negasonic Teenage and Cable, but I think the full ensemble in the new film makes Deadpool work better as a character. Which also makes you wish we would have gotten a real fucking X-Force movie one day with Deadpool in it. Maybe.
I do love that theme. Yeah, I do love that
MCU is, now that the MCU is in charge, maybe we will, but I don't know if we'll have, by the time they get around to an X-Force movie, will we have Ryan Reynolds in the role? He might age out, unfortunately, at some point. But let's move on. Let's move on to the movie that hit theaters today. Or not today, Thursday night, and it's playing this weekend. We all saw it at different times over the weekend, and that is the new film Deadpool and Wolverine, which this was announced about 3 years ago, I guess now, when we had a huge. It was at Comic-Con around then, I think, or maybe it was D23 when we found out that Deadpool, that Hugh Jackman was coming back into the role that made him famous, and he's iconically done well for over 25 years. And, and we thought it was never going to happen. We thought it was done after Logan, but Ryan Reynolds and Hugh have had a big friendship. I almost said huge friendship. I know I would have gotten a laugh there from Matt. But they've had a friendship over the years that has allowed them to convince the studios and stuff that they should do this. And Ryan, and believe it or not, Hugh really did say no several times. He told Ryan, I'm not doing it. And in regards to the joke about them throwing money at it, Hugh did not do it because of the money. He finally said, okay. His now ex-wife really is the one, from what I read, who convinced him to do it. Say, you know what, just go do it one more time. And that's why he came back. And because, it doesn't get any easier to get in shape. And I'm sorry, but did they CGI his abs there? I don't know, man. I'm wondering if he really looked.
That's a question. That's a question.
Was he 54, 55 now?
Yeah.
But
he's 55.
But so we did get this movie.
Ryan's 47.
Yeah, that was
45?
going to be Deadpool. It was known as Deadpool 3 for a while until the trailer hit during the Super Bowl this year. And they announced it was called Deadpool and Wolverine. It was also almost the last minute called Deadpool and Friend, apparently, as Ryan revealed this week in some interviews. And they literally, apparently, Ryan claims almost 2 nights for the trailer at the Super Bowl, they changed it to Deadpool and Wolverine. Don't know if that's true or not. But, I think Ryan tends to play the audience and the internet very well. Let's be fair to that.
Oh, yeah.
How much is it true and how much is it not? But we got this movie. And it was I know it sounded a little harsh on the Deadpool character in the first segment, but this movie I really fucking liked a lot. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's perfect. I still think as a Wolverine fan, I'm going to choose Logan over this, but there's still a lot of badass Wolverine shit in this movie too. Let's put it this way. Logan's a better film, but Deadpool and Wolverine has some really cool Wolverine moments, like the poses, the costumes, the timeline, montage where we get to see the different Wolverines. That was really cool at the beginning of the film. And I should have said, beware if you're at this part of the podcast, we're going to spoil the fuck out of this movie. So you might want to pause and come back if you haven't seen it yet. And the way they brought the MCU and the Fox timelines together, I think was really nicely done and pretty simple. They didn't overcomplicate it. Sometimes these multiverse stuff, you get a little lost. Like, okay, wait, what? I really felt like, man, they did this where it was pretty understandable. And I was glad for that. And those are my initial reactions before we get hardcore into the film. Is just a fun ride. I expected more cameos. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the internet's fault for playing that. Maybe the internet played that up too much for us. We basically got the cameos that were already leaked out last year. We already knew about.
I didn't
was
know
expecting more.
I wouldn't totally.
Now there were a couple of celebrity cameos I did not expect, like Ryan Reynolds' wife or Matthew McConaughey. Those were not expected.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting ahead.
Henry, well,
let us do a roundtable of each of our thoughts and impressions. You liked it, Mark? What would you score it?
I don't know. Probably a pretty solid A.
Pretty solid A. Okay. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, it's an A.
Yeah, and what's your overall impressions?
I think it has possibly the best opening to a superhero movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
The best title entrance for sure.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I thought I was going to be annoyed by the song
title
choice,
entrance.
but I'm like, yeah.
I'll give it title entrance, but best opening, come on. X-Men 2 and Nightcrawler are still one of the best openings of any film in any superhero film.
Yeah, I'll give it the title opening. Using, Wolverine like that, that was pretty funny. Right. And then he couldn't get used to the claws. But yeah, I was, the pacing was great. There is never a bad pacing moment. And it flows really well.
I'll disagree with that just a little bit.
Okay. But yeah. I like the pacing and I like the comedy and I like how they did it.
Yeah. For me, I would give it a B plus. Yeah. A very strong B plus. I enjoyed it tremendously. If I score a movie that's like a B or B plus, that's definitely a movie I'm definitely purchasing for myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with the pacing. It's definitely miles ahead, better than Part 2's pacing. And I liked it overall. I loved all the subversion of expectations going in. I love some of the nice little twists here. I do like the villain of the movie as well. She done a really good job.
Yeah.
Can't believe that same actor who played Cassandra Nova played Princess Diana in The Crown.
Yeah.
She's a very good actor. She has that it factor. I can't really quite point out, but yeah, she did really seem to shave her head bald because I've seen some interviews since
probably
then.
because she's British.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
She has that it factor. It's probably because she's British.
No, it's not because of the accent, but she has that piercing gaze.
I was making a bad joke. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked, and I'll say this. I think Logan's a good movie, but I think it's a little overrated. Um, and it's fucking depressing. You know, it's a fucking depressing movie. I did not agree with some of the character, like the final character moments for Logan in that Logan movie. Um, but I liked Hugh Jackman's go around this time around more so than I did in Logan. So yeah, he was mopey, but hey, he got over it. But he had a really good reason to the things that he did. But yeah, overall B plus, strong B plus for me. I loved it. So yeah.
Well, here's where I'll get my slight comments about the pacing out of the way real quick. The only way I'll disagree on it is it suffered, to me, after the cool intro, it suffered from the same problem the first two Deadpool movies suffer from, is getting going. The stuff with his friends and all that in the apartment stuff, it just slows the movie down at the beginning. Once you got past that, it's fantastic.
Okay.
And I'm just like sitting there. I get it that's the whole. No, I know that's his friends. That's why he's trying to save the world. But it just kind of slows the movie down a lot in the first 20 minutes after the opening sequence, and it's just like, okay.
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't see every time you complain about pacing, it's like they're trying to build up the reasons why each character has to do what they're doing. You know.
Yeah.
And to me, that's not bad pacing. Yeah. That's like trying to set up, okay, what the stakes are. Yeah. So is it bad pacing? I don't think it is. I think it's like necessary,
And I felt like they didn't spend too much time on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just
like,
right.
Yeah.
He works.
Maybe it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one of those things that I was just at that point. I want to see Wolverine, and maybe the second time I watch it, I'll look different up. Maybe that's what it was. It's like, okay, where's Wolverine?
Mm-hmm. I could get that from you. Where's the beef, baby? Where's the beef?
Yeah, where's the beef? We got the chicken.
You did see Wolverine, his skeleton right there.
Well, you know what I mean.
That was
now
once
we get to Wolverine as a longtime comic book fan.
Yeah,
the montage shots of all the iconic Wolverines, dude, that was Boner City right there.
Yeah, dude,
it was like,
hey, yeah, exactly. Freaking, I remember when Hugh Jackman was first announced as Wolverine, like 20 some odd years ago. People were complaining, like, even I was part of that crowd. It was like, hey, he's not 5'0".
The short joke was pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. So now fans finally got to see what a 5' Wolverine will look like in the film. Now they can just shut the fuck up,
right?
Yeah.
But the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, the Days of Future Past, all that shit was cool as hell.
And Henry Cavill Wolverine,
dude, that was badass.
Yeah, that was like, holy shit,
the Cavalrine. He's got the big ass cigar.
Yeah.
He does this little that we see all the time in like The Witcher. There's a little grunt.
Yeah.
And I was like, he could do it. Yeah. The patch. Yeah. The missing hand Wolverine. Which one was that? Is that $29.99?
That was Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse. Okay.
Yeah. All of that shit was cool as hell. I was like, wow, I knew when we got to that scene, I'm like, okay, we're in for a ride now. And
see, that should have made up for all the setup and pacing earlier.
No, and it did. And I think I think I'm realizing my wrong. I was just waiting for the Wolverine stuff.
Yeah.
And from there on, we did go in for a ride.
To be fair, though, you may not like Deadpool as much either. I mean, because it's like, Deadpool's a fun character, but having too much Deadpool and just dealing with his story can be a bit, it's like you either love him or hate him type of thing too. So I can understand why you want to see Wolverine. Because Ryan Reynolds can be like, okay, dude, that's cool, you're funny, haha, quippy, let's get to Wolverine now. So I can see where you're coming from on that. So.
Right. So basically, this film sets up where the TVA is going to destroy Deadpool's world because Logan died, and he was the Alpha Prime character of their universe in the Logan film, and so that's why Deadpool's digging up his grave at the beginning, is to try to, hey, I need your help to save my world. But it turns out he doesn't believe he is dead. Turns out it really is dead. So basically they contrive a plot where he goes to a different Earth and he goes after all these Wolverines, as we get the cool Wolverine montage, to find one to bring back to try to save his world. But it backfires. They get thrown into the void through the TVA. And so basically most of the movie is them in the void trying to get out of the void to save Deadpool's world. But this is where a lot of the cool shit happens.
Yes.
Really. And I'm paraphrasing this film really quickly because yes, we are doing spoilers, but I don't want to ruin everything about the plot. Even though I kind of just did. That's basically the consensus of the movie. But once we get to the void, this is the it factors, the stuff that people are waiting for, all the rumors, all the cameos, and it's some cool shit.
Yeah, the Chris Evans.
Which even Deadpool himself thinks is Cap at first.
Yeah.
Until he
gives him a hug.
Until he cursed. I was like, wait a minute, because the audience and Deadpool looked at, wait, what? You know, he tilted his head, right? Yeah, Deadpool tilted. Wait a minute, what? He's like,
is this Cap?
He says, "Flame on."
He's gonna say it, Avengers, flame on, and then he takes off.
Yeah, did he say Avengers or did he just say flame on?
Well, Deadpool
Just
says
flame
Avengers because he's trying to finish his sentence, but then he says flame on and takes off, and Deadpool's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And then another budget joke with him dying. That was funny. So,
know
what he was doing to the budget?
Yeah. So they get captured by these group led by the Sabretooth
Pyro.
from X-Men.
Yeah.
And Pyro. And they come back and Wolverine. I thought it was pretty funny how he's going to fight him. And he goes, they've waited decades for this fight. You have to make this awesome. And Hugh Jackman's all, let's fucking go. And he's like, gets all snarl and he just slices Sabretooth's head in one shot. I'm surprised they make a joke about that, after waiting all these years and that's it.
And then the Mad Max joke, the head of your Furiosa.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And I think, and what's funny is, if I remember correctly, wasn't this movie due out earlier summer and they pushed it back a little bit? So I think that's why that joke was there, because they thought Furiosa was their big competition. And I think, that makes sense. And all of a sudden, the movie got pushed back a little bit. And it's like, so the joke still landed if you've seen Furiosa. But I think that was the intention of the joke, is when the two movies were supposed to compete with each other at the box office. Because if I remember correctly, this movie was supposed to be a little earlier in the summer. And so they get captured and they get taken to. I'm still unclear as to why the skull of Giant Man, Ant-Man, is in the void. It's just, I guess, it's just a cool sight gag,
It's part of I know it's part of the Old Man Logan universe, so maybe it's
right. I read that too. It was part of the Old Man Logan universe, and maybe it's from another. I guess it's from another universe or something, because we learned there's tons of variants in the void, lots of Deadpools. Lots. Cassandra Nova, who is Charles Xavier's sister, even says we get very little Wolverines down here. So they do allude to that. So at one point, I guess there was an Ant-Man, Giant Man that got sent to the void and died, which was pretty fucking cool to look at on screen. Giant freaking skull. And she turns into like her super base, where I guess there is some things in the plots that were a little bizarre. Like there's this thing, the Goliath or whatever, which is like this monster eats things, and it's between
Loki.
her and him for the power of the planet. Is that from Loki?
Yeah, Loki season 1. Yeah.
No, okay. So that was like, I wasn't sure what that was all about. It took me out of the movie a minute. Like, what is this thing? There's like no explanation for it. She's like, it's just this monster. She's like, we got to pay the rent. It's like, wait, what? But yeah, they killed off Johnny Storm pretty early in the film by getting his flesh ripped off of him, which is pretty gross.
Gnarly.
Yeah. All his organs fall everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
And then you get this villain in Cassandra, who's one of those villains that's seemingly overpowering. Like, how are you going to defeat her? Which is pretty wild. But Deadpool and Wolverine figure out a way to escape and go further into the void. And where we got a bit, I found nice where they run to Nice Pool. I found him a little bit annoying. I want to slap him. Right, to me, that was one of the few jokes in the movie that ran a little long. The dog and the Nice Pool stuff. By the time we got to the end and they kill Nice Pool, I'm like, okay, the joke's over. And is that fair to say? It's like it was just it ran way too long, that joke.
It was nice for the Van Wilder reference that they gave him. Yeah,
but that movie in my screen, I didn't even get a laugh. It was like people don't remember that movie.
Oh yeah.
It's like my screen, that joke didn't even get a laugh. It was like, okay,
gotta be older millennial or Gen X to get that joke.
Yeah. So then we get to the meat of the movie when they continued through the void after they meet Nice Pool and his weird dog. What happens to them? They fight each other in the car, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wolverine lays into Deadpool, tells him what a bitch ass he is, basically, and he's like, "I'm going to fight you now." And they have this really cool fight, blood everywhere, knocking the shit out of each other. Neither one of them can die, so it's just, and that was really cool. And then they're laying in the car, beat each other up. He tapes up Deadpool or whatever he does with the seatbelt, and they get captured. And they get captured by Jennifer Garner's Elektra, which is we had heard rumors of this last year that she was in the film. We had heard rumors of Ben Affleck appearing, and it seems I'm trying to take that joke that Daredevil's not here as like cut it. I wonder if it was filmed and they just didn't leave it in there. Is that the sense you got? That when they made that joke, because all the rumors were that Ben Affleck shot scenes and then he's not in the movie. So I wonder if maybe they cut it. And then we get Matt, you follow way more rumors than I do. I don't remember the Wesley Snipes rumors. So that for me, that was a surprise. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I remember the Channing Tatum. I did think it was
little. I remember the Channing Tatum rumors and of course Elektra and who was the fourth character?
Daphne Keene.
Or that was it. Oh, well, Daphne Keene. Well, we knew X-23 from the trailer. But but the Blade was a bit of a surprise. I feel they maybe put a little too much makeup on Wesley Snipes to make him look younger, but it's fine. I understand why they were doing that. They want because he looks a little rough now. If you've seen him, he's still in excellent shape for his age, but he just looks old. And they used a heavy makeup to make him look a little younger. And he felt like he was talking through his teeth the entire movie. And it's like, dude, do you not know how to talk anymore?
Hey, if Macho Man Randy Savage can do it, then so can Wesley Snipes.
I've seen Wesley Snipes make movies, and I don't remember him talking like that. I'm not sure why he was talking like that in the film. It was a little strange. It was a little weird, wasn't it? The way he was talking, it was like, why are you talking like this?
Yeah, he's gritting his teeth every time he talks.
Yeah. But it was cool though, man, to see him in the movie. That got a huge reaction in my screen. People were like, "Whoa!" And that was neat. As a longtime Gambit fan, seeing a live action Gambit on screen with the costume is cool. Even though I always feel like Gambit should have been, it was always a bit skinnier character, but it's still pretty neat. Channing Tatum pulled it off. I like how they made jokes about the accent. That was pretty funny. Deadpool was like, "What the fuck did you just say?" It's like, let me translate that for y'all people. It's like, that was pretty funny. And that's where Deadpool works so much better in this movie. He has so many people to play off with, so his jokes land better. And I think he works better in that sense than trying to make jokes himself, and you're supposed to respond to them. I think that's why this movie works. That's why this is not only the best Deadpool movie, but it makes Ryan Reynolds and the character, I think, better in this film because of people to play off of.
Yeah.
What did y'all think about the cameos?
I liked them all. I like the meta joke with Gambit, like basically alluding that since this movie never came out, he never knew if he had a father or not. So so he thought that, and that on top of that, he says he thinks he was born in a void because he was in freaking development hell, the past 10 years. So
he goes, I think I was born here.
Yeah, exactly. And all the cameos are good. The Jennifer Garner one was okay.
Yeah.
They all have their moments too. They're all badasses in that fight scene. A little disappointed with X-23's action scenes. It's only like one or two, really.
Yeah.
Maybe they're saving it. I don't know. Do y'all feel that that the X-23 or will?
I feel like she could be back. Yeah.
Yeah, in future MCU movie.
Because you notice, she's the only one we didn't see die.
Yeah.
We saw Elektra, we saw Gambit, we saw Blade, but we never saw her die, and that's how I felt too. Maybe she'll come back. We know she's working with Disney, being that she was in the Acolyte now in this, so it's very possible. They got to shine their action sequences, and of course they escape. They find a way to get Juggernaut's helmet and defeat Cassandra and get out of the void. And
it was nice to see Daphne Keane doing the stabbing and not getting stabbed.
Yeah,
right.
So, anyways, spoiler there, Mark.
I saw that episode. I got that far in the show.
Okay.
So they get out of the void. They get out of the void and back to Deadpool's Earth, and they're going to stop the TVA from destroying the timeline. And we get all the Deadpool variants come across, and this is where we get more cameos, at least by voice and under costume, possibly. As we get all the different Lady Pool, we get Cowboy Deadpool, all versions of Deadpool.
Cassandra hijacks the Time Ripper from the TVA, and she's trying to use it to destroy all the other timelines except for the Void, so she can rule everything. So they have to stop that.
They have to stop them, but the Deadpools aren't there to help. They're there to fuck shit up and basically kill Deadpool and Wolverine, which they have this massive fight scene again, which is another scene where we get some really cool Wolverine moments. He pulls on the mask, so we get the mask we've been waiting for years, which is really cool. We get him jumping off the bus and doing the Wolverine pose, which is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we get, like I said, Blake Lively as Lady Pool and Matthew McConaughey as one of the Deadpools. And I think those were the two biggest names I spotted in the credits real quick at the end of for the Deadpool cameos. I'm sure there's probably some more lesser known names, but those were the two big names.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
And they're saved by Peter.
I mean, and they're saved by Peter, which, that's Peter's a weird. That's all I'm going to say.
Or Peter saved Prime Pool in them.
Prime Pool.
Because I guess Peter is a special anchor for all the Deadpools in their own universes or something. Yeah.
And then we get that moment. The movie starts out, we should back up a little bit, where Deadpool always wanted to matter. That's why he wanted to be an Avenger, and he wanted to matter. He realized he didn't want to just be a merc with a mouth. And so he gets this heroic moment at the end of the film where him and Wolverine work together to stop this machine. At first, it's a sacrifice where they think one of them's going to have to die. And Deadpool goes in there, and we get the pretty funny Spock joke and a couple other jokes. Which that joke almost could have played out too long, like the dying one, the first one, if he had kept coming back to the window. But maybe they realized their mistake and they stopped it before it got too long in this one. But Wolverine's not having it. He goes in there with him, and they have their heroic moment where they stop the machine, and they seemingly both die, but of course they don't. And we get the one last look at Wolverine's abs for all the ladies, and for Matt
haven't seen those since Days of Future Past, and they popped up again to say hello. Yep.
Wait, what did you say? They were hyped up again?
Said I hadn't seen them since Days of Future Past, and they popped back up again to say hello.
Oh, so you were excited. And then so the film ends with he saves his world, and I guess he's going to allow this new Wolverine to stay in his world, or the timeline's going to allow it. And so they don't quite merge the MCU with the DCU, but they allude that Deadpool can jump through time if he needs to help the MCU. It's kind of what they didn't destroy the multiverses or anything, but they basically brought the Fox timeline into the multiverse is what they did with this film.
Yeah. And then we get that the cool end credit scene. I like how they put all the blooper footage together to the tune of Green Day's Time of Your Life. And I was like, that was a joyous moment, seeing Ian and
Then another long wait for a post-credit scene because I had to pee really bad. That was funny, but kind of pointless.
Yeah.
And
then
the one where he was talking about the footage of
Well, no, then the one with Johnny Storm at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, huh, he really did say it.
Yeah.
His cinnamon ring, what did he call it? She lick his cinnamon ring.
You would remember what he called it, man. Only you.
Yeah.
I was hoping we got another version of Chris Evans. You know what I'm talking about. The one from
I'm not even gonna
movie.
I'm not even gonna acknowledge that.
Yeah, that's the variant we all want. Admit it, Mark.
No. But that overall, man, Deadpool Wolverine was quite a ride. I do think people are saying, is it got the MCU back in shape? I mean, I don't know. I think it's arguably the best film since Spider-Man No Way Home, which is not hard to say. But with the MCU still has a lot to do to get themselves back on track, and hopefully it does with Captain America: Brave New World next year, which I think the trailer for that looks pretty cool, and we'll see where it goes. But in the meantime, man, Deadpool and Wolverine, man, this was a hell of a fun movie. It kind of makes me want to see more team up movies like this with Marvel characters. I talked about this before, I think, on the podcast. I always wanted to see like a Spider-Man team up movie, and then we got Spider-Man the Avengers, but I always wanted Spider-Man to have, we kind of got in Homecoming a little bit where Iron Man appears, but I always wanted a Spider-Man team up movie. Because remember, they did that in the comics back in the day. They had Marvel team up and things like that, where they would do these stories. And
Deadpool and Hawkeye.
Comics, I always thought that was I always thought that was cool as a kid reading those kind of comics. It was cool to see this cool team up movie. That was a lot of fun to watch. Definitely. We at the end of the year, we always have our best movies of the year. I think right now this would make my top 5. Do I think it's better than Dune Part 2? No, that's still my number 1 movie of the year. But I like this a lot. It is a fun movie.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my highlights. So saw Godzilla and this. So yeah, I think Deadpool beats out the Godzilla and Kong movie.
Yeah,
by a margin, a small margin, a very very small margin. So still can't beat giant monsters. So
it's hard.
Yeah. But Matt? From this point on though, I'm just like, well, it's getting harder and harder for me to want to go into theaters nowadays, and it has to be something really, really, really good to drag me out of my house to go watch it.
Yeah.
And with ticket prices as they are, Cinemark's not bad. But especially for you, Mark, since you have like 3 or 4 kids and you have to pay tickets for all of them, and
then concessions on top of that.
Concessions on top of that.
I had 2 free tickets for Deadpool, so it cost me nothing.
Yeah.
I took Michael with me to see it. And I mean, I want to see Alien Romulus, and the rest of the year, I'm not sure what else. Maybe the animated Lord of the Rings film.
Yeah.
But other than that,
it's
not
funny
sure what else there is this year.
Yeah. It's funny you brought up Romulus, right? So I saw the final trailer on my at home. And I was like, oh, that looks cool, right? But I'm not going to go see it. Then I saw it on the XD theater screen, and I was like, God dang it, that looks really good. Damn it.
Yes. Dude, it looks terrifying, man. It
looks, but I don't want to go off too much in it. I do feel like that new trailer, though, maybe a little too much plot, but it's cool. I still want to see it.
I think it's just going to be a horror movie. Just a regular
I do too.
Movie or something.
Just a straight up alien horror movie. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy about it. But it looks cool.
Hopefully it doesn't do the alien resurrection route,
Right.
That movie was trash. So
I've seen it maybe twice my entire life. I watched it and then I tried to watch it again. I just didn't like it. I own it because I have the box set, but I've never watched it,
voluntarily.
Yeah. But man, Deadpool Wolverine in theaters now, man, just a fun film, a fun ride. I took my oldest to see it. He enjoyed it a lot too. And we had fun watching it and talking about it afterwards on our ride home yesterday. And I did not feel awkward watching this one like I would have the holiday scene of the first one with him. This was more of a fun movie, so it was good to go see it with him. But man, we that was our double feature. And then man, you know what? What movie are we doing next week? We got our preview next week's movie before we get out of here. I'm doing my birthday pick. No, I'm saving my birthday pick. I'm saving my birthday pick for in 2 weeks. my birthday is 8th of August, so we're going to do my birthday pick the weekend of my movie. But next week, this movie we had pushed back was originally supposed to be last week, but because of the hurricane, as we continue our summer of blockbuster films, and we are going to discuss Transformers: Dark of the Moon on next week's show.
Our entire space race of the 1960s was in response to an event.
If you breathe a word of what you've seen here, it will do time for treason.
Everything humans know of our planet, we were told, had been shared. You lied to us. You've made a grave mistake.
Years from now, they're gonna ask, where were you when they took over the planet?
You'll be fine. I promise.
It's over. I'm sorry, but it's over. You may lose your faith in us, but never in yourselves. From here, the fight will be your own.
This is actually, I like this Transformers movie. It's fun. It's way better than that Revenge of the Fallen crap that came out. This is a fun one in the middle part of in the third part of the series, and it was a blockbuster. That's why we're doing our summer of blockbuster films, and made a ton of money. We get Leonard Nimoy's voice in there in one of his last roles, I believe, if I remember correctly, before he passed on, and. So, it's it'll be a fun one to talk about. We did talk the first Transformers a few years ago. We're going to skip Revenge of the Fallen and go Dark of the Moon for our summer of blockbuster films. And Long, you don't have to join us. If you don't want. I know you're a Transformers fan. It's always up to you. You're always welcome on the show. You know that anytime.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us today, man. It was fun talking Deadpool.
You're welcome.
Deadpool
It was fun. It was fun.
And
it
worked out time wise.
Yeah, I had to put my jabs in on James Mangold's action direction too. So, how do you ruin Indiana Jones? God,
and we know you're actually not on camera because it's early in the morning. You're probably still in your knickers, waking up, and that's okay.
Knickers.
But the rebelradiopodcast.com for all
fine.
your
Here I
needs,
am.
Jeez,
there he
crying
is.
and begging.
It's got the Austin 316 shirt going. There we go.
There we go.
But thank you as always for listening, and until next time, this has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
This is Long.
Remember, as always, just go there and
do it.